Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. What I want to talk about in this video is something that really disturbed me and angered me. And that is in reference to the academy, West Point Academy, a very prestigious military academy that we all pretty sure are familiar with, has decided to change its motto. I think it had the words honor, faith, honor, and country. Those terms have been removed and replaced with simply Army values. Now, right off the bat, when I read that, I already knew what was going on. Let's get into just a portion of this article, and I'm going to give you guys my detailed opinion, because what I find interesting in the entirety of this article is that many of the prestigious leaders in the West Point Academy was saying the same thing that I was thinking even before I read their words. So let's get right into this. Yeah, I see this. I can see this a mile away. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, man. But yeah, the radical left, I'm putting it out there because this is who's doing this. The radical left is screwing up everything. West Point Superintendent Army Lieutenant General Steve Gellin on Monday announced a new mission statement for the institution that replaces the words duty, honor, and country. That's what it was. Duty, honor, and country for the more generic Army values. The West Point's previous mission statement was, quote, to educate, train, and inspire the corps of cadets so that each graduate is a commissioned leader of character, committed to the values of duty, honor, country, and prepared for a career of professional excellence and service to the nation as an officer in the United States Army. The new statement says, to build, educate, train, and inspire the corps of cadets to be commissioned leaders of character committed to the Army values and ready for a lifetime of professional excellence and service to the Army and the nation. Gillen indicated in a statement he wanted to focus more on the, quote, mission essential task of, quote, build, educate, train, and inspire versus duty, honor, and country. He said, and it goes into detail about what he said and his excuse. You guys can read the rest of this article in the description box below. It's pretty straightforward. I understood it right off the bat. But when I first read that portion, before I even read the entire article, I knew what this is all about. And if you read further into the article, you will find out that, like I said, you're going to find out that leaders within the Army spoke against this changing this model. They spoke against it. And in what way were they speaking against this change? You know, they were saying things such as, you might as well go ahead and say, put in diversity and equity. You know, you might as well go ahead and put that in. And when I read that, I was like, you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. This is the radical left's, in my opinions, attempt to destroy everything, to tear it down, to weaken our soldiers, to weaken our leaders. This aggravates me so much. I'm trying my best to say this in a way that my emotions don't get involved in it, because even though I never was in the Army, I never got a chance to go to the Army, I never was involved in the military. I was involved in a paramilitary institution, you know, the police academy. I mean, it's about as far as the military went for me. Many years ago, I was a recruiter, Army recruiter, did try to get me to join the Army. In fact, he came to my house, you know, I invited to my house and had to take this test and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't pass, but he gave me another opportunity to pass the test. And so I tried to do it again. But after a while, I thought about it and says, no, I don't want to do this, because I had just gotten married and this kind of stuff. So, yeah, but that was as far as I went, you know. But when it comes to the military, I have a soft spot, because these are the people that risk their lives for our country. And these are the protectors of our country. And when you do things to weaken them psychologically, to weaken them morally, to weaken them spiritually, then how are they going to protect our country? To replace duty, honor, and to replace those core values with Army values is to make it ambiguous. What are the Army values? What do you mean by Army values? And what I believe, as these Army leaders believe, that means is Army values are anything. Army values are diversity. Army values are equity. Army values are bringing in people who, transgenders, whatever. That's Army values. That's basically what they're trying to say. This is an institution known for excellence, known for commitment, known for performing their duties, known to be committed, known to be honorable people, people with integrity. But in order to destroy that core, you have to take out those core values and replace them with ambiguous values, Army values, right? That could be anything. That could be anything. This is the radical left. This is the quiet, non-violent form of communism that have infiltrated all of our institutions and is trying and have successfully, to a large extent, destroyed them from within without raising one gun, shooting one gun, or sending one bomb. They're killing us from within because we as American people had not been able to discern these people. We as American people have not been able to look past the rhetoric. Okay? When these radical left people talk about equity and equality, that's a bunch of nonsense. That's just a way to pull people in, to deceive them and to think them they're thinking that it's all about equality and equity and all that. But once they get hold, once these people get complete control, it's not going to be what you think. Now you may be asking, how do you know that, Mr. Bolin? Because I read. I read communism. I read books on communism, where it came from, how it has evolved over the years into a quiet form, a non-violent form. Now it's all about propaganda. Now it's all about twisting, lying, and propaganda and mind control. That's what it's all about now. See, that's what people don't see. Because they don't see that when people think about communism, they think about old Russia with the walls and all that. That's what they think about. When the walls fell down and what was it? In the Reagan administration in the 80s, when Ronald Reagan said, Gorbachev, tear that wall down. And when that wall came down and so forth, everybody thought communism was done away with. Wrong. No. It just morphed into another form, a quieter form. But may I say this, that communism was a part of America decades before the 80s. And it was a part of America decades before the 80s in a quiet form. It was still working quietly. The ideology was still working quietly in our country before the 80s. Former President Ronald Reagan knew that. And I don't remember any speeches that he gave that had anything to do with communism is over. That's a lie. It just begun. It's just quiet now. And this whole situation with stripping out these core values in this institution, one of the most prestigious military institutions in the country, to strip those core values out and replace it with some generic values such as Army values, is clearly, from my perspective, an attempt to weaken these cadets, to weaken them morally, spiritually, and psychologically, and even physically, so that they would not have a love for the country. Because you would remember now, they took one of the core values was country, to be committed to your country, to be committed to the Constitution, right? Well, if you take that out and just put Army values in there, then they're not going to know to be committed to the country. And if they're not going to know to be committed to the country and the Constitution, they're not going to defend it like it ought to be defended. This is what the inserted communists want, to take away the patriotism from you, to take that patriotism from the cadets, so that they don't have a love for the country and its core values. You take that love away from them and you replace it with something that's ambiguous and unclear as Army values, it's easy to manipulate and control those cadets. This is what this is all about. It sickens me and it disgusts me, and it's high time that American people start waking up more and more and more, because I tell you, unless God stop it, we are going to end up a communist country, period. Bottom line. We'll be no different than the other communist countries. We've been under a socialist regime mixed with some capitalism for decades anyway. But we have not merged into communism yet, because there are people like myself and others that are exposing this nonsense and trying to the best of our ability to make people aware of what is going on. But so I just wanted to say that, man, this is disgusting to me. This is absolutely disgusting. It's wrong, and it needs to change. You know, it needs to change. To take that out of there, I mean, come on, man. And I can't help but what, and let me say something else too. Let me say something else too about this. If you read the article further, okay, it talks about how that, I forget exactly which individual made these quotes, but I'm paraphrasing his words in the article. I think it may have been the leader that actually changed the mission statement of West Point. But he said something along the, and like I said, I'm paraphrasing words, said something along the line of, we have to please basically our stakeholders. Basically is what he's saying. We have to please our stakeholders. And when I saw that term in there, when I saw the term stakeholders in there, I couldn't help but think, okay, when you have people who have invested in your company, have put money into your company or money into your school or money into your business, you best believe they're going to want some control. Just because someone puts money into your institution or money into your company or money into your church doesn't mean that they have the best vision for you. It doesn't mean that they have the best intentions for your business, for your school, for your company, for your church, for your organization. They may have a vision that's different than the vision you have. But they know if they put enough money into your business, into your school, into your religious institution, they can have some form of control over the vision that you have. And when I read that in there, I was like, oh man, this is all about pleasing these stakeholders, at least to some extent. And I'm going to make the assumption rather, that these stakeholders have communist worldviews or socialist and Marxist worldviews, which are all similar to a large extent. You add progressivism in there, which is another non-violent form of communism. There you go. And what do some of our politicians, Democratic politicians, call themselves? Progressives. Just another soft term, non-violent term for communism. Don't fall for the okie doke. But yeah. When I saw that whole thing about stakeholders, I was like, oh man, here we go. They done been bought out. And now the people that have bought them out is saying, we want you to take this out of here. We don't want this in there. We don't want, honor and duty and country in there. Now we don't want those. We just put Army values in there. Let's make it ambiguous, because now we can persuade you and convince you to put whatever we want you to put in there. Remember, we paying for all of this. We putting our money in this. So we want you to put in there what we want you to put in there. My philosophy will be this in the closing of this video. I don't want your money. I'd rather struggle and save up money from whatever. And that's what I'd rather do, because I don't want nobody trying to buy me out and then trying to control my vision that I have for myself and my institution. No. I'd rather not have it. The devil is a lie. God is on my side, So I'm not going to sit up here and let you buy me out. And that's what happens to a lot of these businesses and companies and movie studios. That's what happened to New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema was a movie studio that was independent, and their focus for the most part, particularly in the 70s and 80s, was to recognize these small, obscure, independent films and give them recognition and distribute them. But I forget who took them over and bought them out. And Shea, I forget his name, I forget his first name, but I think his name was Shea. Robert Shea was the creator and owner of it, and they bought him out. Next thing he ended up retiring. I think it was Sony that bought him out. Old nasty Sony bought him out. And I'm not saying the movies that they produce have not been good since New Line Cinema have been taken over. But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Okay, they have produced some extremely good movies, very, very good movies. But now those films that were risky films and films that were kind of like not recognized, and movies like Extra and all of that kind of stuff, those films wouldn't have never gotten recognized under this new purchasing. Would have never got recognized. But you get my point. You get my point. When they start spending their money and putting their money into it, they want to try to control it. And this is what I saw. Just crazy, man. Just crazy stuff. But we got to start seeing more and more of this. We can make better decisions, man. That's just what I think. But what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.